rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Well, that's interesting. I wonder why. Oh, I see why. Oh, you set all this stuff up, and it's just amazing across the board. Anyway. All right, there we go. So we got that going. We get this going. Hi, folks. How are you? Oh, my goodness. We've had a lot of changes, a lot of activity up in Minnesota. Things have changed. And honestly, we have to understand, we have to take into account the people that we're dealing with here. And I'm not talking about the people like Trump or the ICE agents or any of that. We need to understand who we're dealing with as far as the left is concerned. I've got some things on that tonight. In particular, Tim Walz, as well as a little bit more information about that Pretty guy. Yeah. He apparently isn't as innocent as everybody thinks. We'll go on for that in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead and take care of tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight's pledge is being led from a heavenly place, because tonight is Fat Paws. May he rest in peace. Fat Paws is up for the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you are of mind, please stand or remove your hat if you're wearing one like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with Fat Paws as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, Fat Paws. May you rest in peace, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. I love his pledge. He's got it. He's very forceful in the middle there. Very, very, very forceful. Just, it's wonderful. Anyway, if you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, pass it on to me by email if you can. Send it, attach it to an email, and then address that email to me. Send it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online, and I will get you into the rotation. Also, if you do it on your phone, you can use the share option. That's SHARE, the share option, and you can send it off to me at fans at AmericanPerspective.online in the same general fashion. I am at 21. I'd like to get to 26 by the end of 2026. I just need 5 more, folks. That's it. Just 5 more to get to me. And I'll have I'll have reached the goal of 26 in 2026. So do that at your earliest convenience. I'll get you into the rotation. All right, tonight's headline sponsor is none other than the Institute on the Constitution. The Institute on the Constitution started off as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission, and that is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers you the opportunity to get educated on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. And in order to do that, what you have to do is head on to theamericanview.com. That's theamericanview.com. Or what you can do is you can go to IOTC.americanperspective.online like this, and you'll be able to get to the exact same place. Now, the Institute on the Constitution offers you 3 easy action steps that you can take to help restore our constitutional republic. First, you need to pray. Never forget to pray for your country. We need it. We always do, but do it again. Do it over. Do it over and over and over. The second thing that you can do, which is a fantastic opportunity, is to study. They have a free online class. You can see the little gold button over here on the far left of my screen. As you're looking at it, you can see I'm kind of flashing it sort of right now. Press that, and you'll get taken to the study page where you can sign up right above my head here. You can sign up to take their free online course. It is a 12 short lesson course. The lessons are about 15 to 20 minutes long. They come with video. They get delivered directly to your inbox, and you can go through all 12 of them to learn. Then, after you study, you can then go on and act. And by that, I mean go and attend one of their live courses, talk to one of their instructors, get yourself certified as an instructor, and start giving classes in your neck of the woods as well. So don't forget to pray, study, and act. Also, if you are quite interested, I know I am usually interested in this, but if you are quite interested in purchasing this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution, yeah, you need to head to constitution.americanperspective.online. Take this with you when you go into the Institute on the Constitution's classes, man. It will give you all kinds of information. And one thing you need to remember is this is a Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution that has 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue here. The stitching itself, it's stitched with leather strong enough to attach liberals' fingers back together. I don't know what the heck that means. But anyway, here we go, is the Institute on the Constitution. And they have a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if you have a problem with this guy, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is Buddy tested, another one of our rest in peace fellows. Buddy tested, Buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved. My youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you to study for and achieve your scouting badge in civics, as well as your civics exam and probably even that naturalization test that you're looking for. So go to constitution.americanperspective.online and get yours today. Also, check out the rest of the Institute on the Constitution's offerings, and don't forget to sign up for that free U.S. Constitution course. It's a nationally recognized 100% free online course. All right. I thank them, of course, for being a sponsor of this program. Speaking of programs, programming note, one of the Whiskey Warrior P1s has been doing her own thing for a little while, and that is the Outlaw Dogs. Apparently, she has hit the grand number of 200 episodes tomorrow. That's 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Rumble. So head on over to Outlaw Dogs channel on Rumble, and for her 200th episode tomorrow. Of course, we always support our Whiskey Warrior P1s here, so head on over there and 2 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. If you can, go and check that out. All right. So let's start off Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, I don't know, Tim Walz made some comments. Whenever Tim Walz makes comments, you need to understand that he is a lying, stolen valor coward. Okay? He's a lying, stolen valor coward. But he made some comments, and one of the comments that he made is he started to liken or did a comparison of the Nazis and what they did to Anne Frank hunting down a resident who happened to be a Jew. Yeah. Anyway, well, he kind of got called on it. He mentioned Anne Frank's name over the weekend, and he got called on it, which is good, because he needs to be called on it. Because Tim Walz was suggesting that children in Minnesota today are fearful in the same way that Anne Frank was before she was murdered by the Nazis. Well, the Holocaust Museum, the U.S. Holocaust Museum, responded yesterday, posting on X, quote, Anne Frank was targeted and murdered solely because she was Jewish. Leaders making false equivalencies to her experience for political purposes is never acceptable. Despite tensions in Minneapolis, exploiting the Holocaust is deeply offensive, especially as anti-Semitism surges. Which is true. Which is true. So, anyway, Walz is such a moron. I'm sorry, he is. He is just one of those, what Yuri Bezmenov used to call useful idiots. That's pretty much what all of these people are, is they're useful idiots. And by the way, speaking of children, do you remember when those idiots stormed that church? Well, apparently, and I didn't get to the article yesterday, because I think I had it up for yesterday, but apparently the agitators who entered that church, they tried to claim that they did so peacefully. They didn't, because they were actually blocking parents in the church from going and getting their kids from the Sunday school classes in order to get them out of the church. Now, this is what I'm talking about in terms of we must see these people as they are. They don't care. They are agitators. They want violence. They want this to explode. That's what they're looking for. That's what they're looking for. And, you know, these idiots, these useful idiots are all being brainwashed and sucking down the liberal leftist Kool-Aid and thinking that all of this stuff that's going on is illegal, none of which it is. And all of this stuff is being done by people who don't have any training. None of that is true. In fact, many of these law enforcement officers have many years on the job. So, yeah. And now you have Tim Walz and Minnesota idiot Mayor Fry, whatever his freaking name is, talking about it. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm sick of these people. It's just horrible. Well, Walz apparently had a call with Donald Trump, but both of them kind of said that it was very productive as far as that goes. Well, I'm going to tell you, I don't think we can trust Walz to cooperate on immigration enforcement. So one of the things that they talked about, that they discussed, was essentially one of the points that was made was, hey, look, this is what's going to happen, okay? This is according to the White House. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt detailed 3 requests from Trump to Walz to help restore order in Minnesota. There's the first pillar would require that Walz and Jacob Frey and all the Democrat leaders are to turn over all illegal criminal aliens. Let's be honest, just by being an illegal alien, you're a criminal. but all criminal illegal aliens that are currently incarcerated in their prisons and jails to federal authorities, along with any illegal aliens that have active warrants or known criminal histories, so that they can be deported immediately. The second pillar requires that state and local law enforcement to turn over any illegal aliens, any and all illegal aliens that they arrest. And the third piece requires that local police assist federal law enforcement in apprehending and detaining these illegal aliens who are wanted for crimes, especially violent crimes. Okay, they're illegal aliens. I don't even know why they try and add this thing about illegal aliens, criminal activity, criminal. No, they crossed the border illegally. They're a criminal. End of story. That's just it. Anything else on top of that is potentially bad and could go even worse. But the point is that, hey, they're illegal. They're a criminal. End of story right there. And they need to be deported. Now, the administration apparently said that, hey, if you guys do this, we will pull some of the Customs and Border Patrol agents out of your state because they're going to no longer be needed if you guys are backing us up. And initial reports are suggesting that such a drawdown is already happening. Now, the problem with this is what Walz responded to Trump and how he phrased things. For an example, the governor made the case that they need impartial investigations of the Minneapolis shootings, both of them involving federal agents. And then he says that we need to reduce the number of federal agents in Minnesota. Okay, again, you actually enforce federal immigration law like you are required to do under the Constitution. And I'm sure if we get rid of as many illegal aliens out of your state as possible that we can find, which pretty much means all of them, then, yeah, I'm sure that we'll actually reduce the number of agents, federal agents in Minnesota. Well, the president reportedly agreed to speak to the leaders of Homeland Security about a state-level investigation. Now, the truth has to come out about these two. The truth is that these two are not as innocent as what the mainstream media wants you to believe, and I got something on Preddy here and hopefully a little bit later on in the program. But as far as reducing the number of federal agents in Minnesota, of course, that's going to happen as you get rid of your illegal aliens. If you don't have them there, Mr. Sanctuary City and Mr. Sanctuary State, if you don't have them there, then yeah, there won't be any reason. There won't be any reason for the agents to be there. And that's the thing. So, secondly, the governor claims that the ICE detainers are actually being honored. Now, here's the problem. If you look at the way that the governor phrased this particular thing, you'll see that he's missing something. For an example, this is the governor, he reminded President Trump that the Minnesota Department of Corrections already honors federal detainers by notifying ICE when a person is committed to its custody that isn't a U.S. citizen. Now, he claims there is not one single documented case of the department's releasing somebody from state prison without offering to ensure a smooth transfer of custody. And notice what he said. The specific language is that it's the Minnesota Department of Corrections that has already put them out. Just the state prison system. Notice what Trump said. Trump said, hey, everything that you have in your jails, in your, all of it, every illegal alien that you possibly have in any place, tucked into a corner somewhere or whatever, you need to hand all of those people over. And Walz said only the Department of Corrections, which is the prison system. No mention of city or county authorities. So this, by the way, overlooks a couple of cases. For an example, January 13th, there was a Guatemalan national who faced 2 counts of criminal sexual conduct. He was released from the Cottonwood County Jail after posting bail, despite having an ICE detainer on him. The county official claimed that ICE told them that ICE was too busy to pick him up. Yeah, I don't know about that. So just by this plain and simple fact that all Walz is alluding to is the Department of Corrections, which, by the way, a criminal doesn't actually get put into the Department of Corrections until they've already gone through trial and, have been convicted and so on and so forth. Anyway. So, I don't know if I would necessarily trust Walz, and I certainly don't trust Fry, whatever his freaking name is, to go ahead and do what they are supposed to do, because, let's be honest, they're not doing what they're supposed to do now. They are supposed to hand over illegal aliens. They are supposed to follow and enforce federal law, and they don't. So I don't necessarily, color me a little bit skeptical in this case. Well, you remember that judge, that leftist judge that basically said, hey, ICE folks, you can't detain, arrest, pepper spray any peaceful protesters. You remember that? You remember when that idiot said that? Well, the appeals court did what I expected them to do, and they basically said, yeah, you know what? That injunction is kind of referring, or is kind of indicating that you want this to be a de facto nationwide or universal injunction. Yeah, I don't think so. That ain't going to happen. Because they're going beyond the 6 named plaintiffs in the case. And the order was basically saying, oh, this is an uncertified class of future protesters and observers, because it was supposed to be everything. Well, a federal appeals court said, well, yeah, guess what? You can't do that. So now, and this is a brief order. It was from a 3-judge panel of the Court of Appeals from the 8th Circuit. They basically said, yeah, that ain't going to happen. And they stayed that injunction by the Federal District Court in Minnesota. So there you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I told you that was likely to happen, and it did. So, yep. All right. The judges also pointed out the federal courts lack the authority to issue such sweeping relief, which we've been telling you all this time. The Constitution does not provide for the district courts, who are created by Congress, to have such sweeping powers as to basically say for anything outside of their district, or even better yet, anything beyond the case that is in front of them. There is nothing that states that these people, these judges, have this power to be able to tell the President of the United States, you can't do that. There's only one court in the land that has that power, and that's called the Supreme Court. Anyway, the panel, the 3-judge panel, also criticized portions of the injunction as what they called overly vague, arguing that broad directives against retaliation or restrictions on vehicle stops could force officers in fast-moving situations to start second-guessing how their actions might be later judged by a court. So, there you go. And by the way, this is the permanent relief for the duration of the appeal. This isn't just a preliminary stay. This is a permanent stay. So, yeah. And of course, that's while the case continues. All right. Well, while one federal judge gets overturned, another federal judge puts forth I'm going to guess is kind of a questionable order. And even the judge themselves, Patrick Schlitz, who is the chief U.S. district judge for the District of Minnesota, he ordered ICE Director Todd Lyons to appear in court over the complaint that detained illegal immigrants are not receiving hearings. So, this guy, Patrick Schlitz, on Monday ordered Lyons to personally appear in the court over the Trump's handling of bond hearings for detained illegal immigrants, according to the Associated Press. Schlitz wrote, "This court has been extremely patient with respondents, even though respondents decided to send thousands of agents to Minnesota to detain aliens without making a provision for dealing with the hundreds of habeas petitions and other lawsuits that were sure to result." Now, here's the problem, and I do see this potentially getting overturned by an appeals court as well. Here's the problem. This isn't the proper place for immigration lawsuits to happen. This isn't where they're supposed to happen. The federal court system doesn't have jurisdiction over this. This is why the immigration courts were set up. So this federal judge who's sitting here again, sticking his nose outside of his sandbox, I would imagine is probably going to get his hand slapped again because this is the improper court for that. Kind of like when Boasberg stuck his nose into the Venezuelan issue that were in Texas. So I have a feeling that this one's probably going to go and make it kicked as well. Now, the judge himself actually acknowledged that ordering the head of a federal agency to appear personally is extraordinary. But he said the extent of ICE's violation of court orders is likewise extraordinary, and lesser measures have been tried and failed. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if this is really going to go all the way either. So, oh, and by the way, the judge, get this. He said at the bottom of the order, he goes, well, I'll cancel the requirement to have Lyons show up if the detainee in question is released from custody. Yeah, where do you think this guy's getting this idea? Where do you think this guy's getting this idea? Hey, you know what? This detainee who has an order, he's supposed to get deported or whatever. Yeah, because you're not doing due process. There's that due process thing again. Because you're not doing due process, we're just going to hold you, I don't know, in contempt of court or whatever. Yeah, like Lyons is really going to show up. Give me a break. Yeah, the district court is, I honestly don't think this is, I don't think this is going to fly very well. Well, let's talk a little bit about, again, the people who we need to understand who these people are. So I told you about the the anti-ICE signal chats and how the Walz administration was implicated in this and that there was foreign funding revealed. The groups being highly sophisticated, set up geographically within the city of Minneapolis, divided by city council district. They also have spread out and are part of St. Paul, Bloomington, and other suburbs of Minneapolis. They start new chats every day, delete the prior day's chat so that they can't be discovered. The fact that Signal uses encryption, it would be exceedingly difficult for the deleted messages to be recovered unless the participants were recording those messages prior to deletion. Signal also has a no screenshots function, which undoubtedly was enabled on these chats, so that messages would have to be recorded the way that Cam Higbee recorded them, by recording them using a separate phone. Now, let's also recall, and I don't know if I pulled this or spoke about this, but the funding for regards to this. So on Sunday evening, a group called Data Republican published a spreadsheet of over 4,000 donors to the effort, the anti-ICE effort, and their possible identities, and made that publicly downloaded on from X. He's got them out, or they've got them out on X. This person also sent non-redacted spreadsheets to the FBI and other federal authorities. The first donation to the effort was made by a guy named Johnny Sopotjuk, Soppotiuk, who is a Canadian who helps run the crowdfunding site Chuffed, Chuffed, which is the one that hosts the fundraising. There's also a connection to other people, meaning politicians and journalists have all been tied to this. Now, Alex Preddy, of course, was a member of this group, too. One of his neighbors has confirmed it. Renee Good was also a member of this group. Now, keep in mind, these are people, especially the politicians, these are people, and potential judges, too. They might even have some judges as well. They claim that Representative Brad Tabke, Tabke, is part of it. That he is actually the one that coordinates the Scott County Ice Watch Signal chat. Scott County, for those that don't know, is just outside Minneapolis. You also have Minnesota State Representative Alex Falconer. And he has admitted that he's part of the chat and recruited participants. So, yeah. Anyway, there's still more. Aurin Chowdhury. That's A-U-R-I-N, and Chowdhury, C-H-O-W-D-H-U-R-Y. That's an admin with the same name as on the Minneapolis City Council, representing Ward 12. That's interesting. Yeah. There's more. NPR's Ben Hovland and NPR's Sergio Martinez Beltran. Yeah. So Ben Hovland is with Minnesota Public Radio. He seems to be part of the group. Same with the other one, NPR. Guy Sergio Martinez Beltran is listed as a participant. Yep. So there we go. There we go. You also have Amanda Kohler, who is a former Walls staffer, Minnesota State Senate candidate Anita Smithson, and Minneapolis politician David Snyder were all listed, with Kohler and Smithson serving as admins and Snyder as a dispatcher. Yeah. Now, this is all, by the way, this is all leaning toward conspiracy. As again, what is a conspiracy? Two or more people conspiring or working together in order to do something Illegal, like blocking and obstructing federal government operations. Yeah. Okay. All right. They also believe that there is a possibility that Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan is a admin of the chat as well, going by the username Flan Southside. These people think that she is there, in there as well. So, yeah. Anyway. Now, keep in mind, Higbee said that he's not 100% certain that that particular username belongs to Flanagan, but he's got a bunch of circumstantial evidence, or he's got a bit of circumstantial evidence showing that it might just be her. So, yeah. And Flanagan, by the way, has been known to stir up local activists, has been known to instruct the leftists, especially to put their bodies on the line in protest. And you sit here and wonder why all of this is happening in Minnesota. Well, it's pretty clear. They're doing it because of the fact that they want this stuff to happen. They want this stuff to happen. And there's even businesses, by the way, that are a part of this too. There's businesses, there's business numbers, there's all kinds of other stuff that are all involved with this, this particular outfit and what they're doing. And again, I point out that obstruction or interference with police operations is illegal. Now, what's interesting, though, is there's a report now that there are some anti-ICE leftists who are actually considering to leave the country after this signal chat thing got exposed. Now, keep in mind, new ones have already been established. Old ones are gone. So all of this stuff is going back. But, yeah. And Cam Higbee has already shown that, hey, they're already back at it. So anyway. But the thing about it is that some of them they're looking to, like, leave. For an example, there was a person who is on there called Sky Whispers. And it goes, Sky, what do we do now? And Sky responded with, run. And it goes, run where? And the response is, I don't know, out of state. I'm leaving tonight. Now, if all they were doing, I'm just going to be honest, if all they were doing is protesting, if they knew that all they were doing was their civic duty, that they weren't doing anything potentially illegal, that they weren't doing anything that would cause problems, that they weren't doing anything that would put them in jail, do you honestly think that they would run like this? Anyway, the user Sky, again, Sky Whispers, told somebody posing as Betty that the speculation that Flan is the Minnesota lieutenant governor, they go, why would we be in trouble? Relax. Signal is not secure. I worked in communications. Once they figured out where we were, it's only a matter of time. Flan has been exposed. We're all effed. I need to leave this state. Person responded back and says, should I leave too? Maybe it's best to get out of the country. Yep. So, this is quite interesting. They're starting to think that they're going to run, that they're getting out of there. Cam Higbee, of course, is the one to give credit for all of this, for sure. Yeah. Anyway, frankly, if they're leaving, that should be nothing but fantastic for us, for all of us Americans. So yeah. Well, keep in mind that when we're talking about who we should know about these people, they are vile, evil, and violent people. Okay? They are all vile and evil. So the Department of Homeland Security shared a phone call on social media that gives the public a glimpse into these idiots, these useful idiots, these complete and utter stupid morons, and what they are, what the law enforcement officers and their families are facing. This audio piece that was posted on Monday contains what appears to be a call from an agitator who is spewing all kinds of sexually violent and suicidal language at an officer who happens to be working in Minnesota, according to Fox News. The caller says in the audio clip, "You should effing kill yourself. I hope your wife dies. I hope your mom and your dad die. I hope everything wrong that could go on in your life happens," meaning wrong. Because you are a traitor to the American people, to the values that made our very country. Yeah. So, The caller also wishes that the ICE agent would have been hit by a bus, became paralyzed, have his wife cheat on them. The caller then doubles down, describing the officer as effing disgusting and effing murderer, and claims that everyone hates the agent as much as the caller does. The caller closes by reiterating, "Kill yourself." Yeah. According to DHS and Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers are facing more than an 8,000% increase in death threats and a 1,300% increase in assaults during this administration, despite conducting operations to remove terrorists, rapists, and gang members from Americans' neighborhoods. So, yeah. I'm just saying, these people are sick. They are disgusting. And believe me, I've been on the receiving end of these people. I mean, I can't tell you how many times on social media I get something to the effect of, F off, you're an anti-American traitor. I even had somebody suggest that I should be, what was it called, kirked, meaning that I should be killed. Yeah. This is your left for you, people. This is who we deal with on the right. Now, I can guarantee you nobody on the right would do any of this. We certainly wouldn't be going off. I mean, even when I have people who say that stuff, I don't respond in a necessarily negative fashion. I just simply hit them with facts and evidence. So, speaking about this, and I'll get to this here in just a minute, but Preddy isn't as clean cut as everybody wants you to think he is. Well, let me tell you about him after this brief break. If you still haven't tried 1775 coffee, now is your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. There's only a small number of kits available. Each kit, inside, you're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, as well as the Vitality mushroom coffee that has clean energy and laser focus with no crash. All of these coffees are single origin, small batch, toxin-free, and mold-free. Plus, you'll also be receiving the gold spoon clip, my personal favorite, because freedom is not scooped with plastic. You'll also be getting a frother that is strong enough not only to stir up your coffee, but also your mother-in-law's opinions, as well as a 1775 tumbler in black. It's $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for just $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble and wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. Go to the numbers 1775 coffee, all one word, 1775coffee.com/studio, STUDIO, and grab your starter kit before they are gone. That is 1775coffee.com/studio, and that / is your question mark key on your keyboard. /studio, and grab your starter kit before they disappear. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something, just like Rumble does. Go to 1775coffee.com /studio. 1775, bold enough to soften the hearts of Danish soldiers in Foss, Greenland, according to G. Go to 1775coffee.com /studio and grab your starter kit today. All right. Well, Alex Pretty apparently has now been discovered that he's not as innocent as everybody thinks. I mean, he was claimed to be just a simplistic observer, what they call a legal observer, which, by the way, a legal observer has no basis in law, period. But apparently Alex Pretty has a history of interfering with ICE agents. For an example, there was an earlier operation where apparently sources told CNN he had suffered a broken rib about a week prior to his being shot after a group of federal agents had tackled him. Now, this incident reportedly happened when Pretty stopped his car after he observed ICE agents allegedly chasing a family on foot. The source who was telling him this, Pretty, said that Pretty began shouting and blowing his whistle. Pretty had allegedly told the source that 5 federal agents tackled him and leaned on his back, leaving him with a broken rib. Now, Pretty was released at the scene at the time. Now, the source said that day he thought he was going to die. Now, records reviewed by CNN showed that Pretty was later given medication that was consistent with treating a broken rib. Now, a neighbor has said that Pretty was part of a neighborhood anti-ICE signal chat, and that it has been revealed that Pretty was also part of the group of around 50 agitators who had turned up to confront the Border Patrol agents while carrying out the arrest of a criminal illegal alien on Saturday. So, you got to ask yourself a question. With this new information, and we'll never get the answer, by the way, we'll never get the answer because Pretty isn't around anymore to give us the answer. But you got to kind of wonder. He ran into these agents in the past, a week prior. His rib was broken. Now, why would he carry his concealed weapon with 2 additional magazines and not his ID when he's supposed to? By Minnesota law, when he is carrying, you think that maybe he brought it because of the fact that this is going to be more like what Kristi Noem and the DHS was saying, that, hey, he actually intended on going there to cause trouble. You think maybe that would have been a potential motive for him? Now, I don't know about you, but if I broke a rib, I probably wouldn't be going out a week later intending on disrupting another operation. I would have understood that, hey, I got my rib broken. I'm pretty lucky to have walked away from this. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this crap anymore. Or at least I should be a little bit more, shall we say, cautious about how involved I actually get. Especially having a broken rib. Those things don't heal that quick. Just saying. So now we're sitting here and we're trying to wonder. And then, of course, to be struggling with the officers with a broken rib, too. That makes no sense. I don't think this guy, realistically, I don't think this guy had a, what do you say, had in a simply pure intentions going there and doing what he was doing, regardless of what everybody is talking about. Well, we now know that Trump has actually changed strategy slightly. He's pulled Bovino from the area, and he has sent the bulldog, Tom Homan, into the area. Now, all of this, of course, the left are like, oh my gosh, this just does all kinds of stuff. And there are suggestions that there is a fracturing opening up in the Department of Homeland Security, which is headed up by Kristi Noem. And after this meeting, or after this decision, Kristi Noem did ask for an hours-long meeting with Trump amid this backlash. Now, she supposedly demanded a 2-hour meeting with President Trump in the Oval Office late yesterday after she was elbowed aside and had Border Czar Tom Homan go over there, take charge of that in Minneapolis. Now, she obviously has faced widespread criticism, and especially as she was quick to brand Preddy a domestic terrorist. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I think that Preddy falls into the category of domestic terrorist for sure, by definition. But anyway, so, yeah. There appears to be a little bit of a crack. However, coming out of that meeting, Trump did state that Noem is doing a very good job and that he's not asking her to step down as Homeland Security Chief, regardless of the change in on the ground leadership. But here's the thing. Tom Homan, if anybody knows any, Tom Homan is honestly, he's a problem solver. He doesn't care about the political aspects. He just wants to do the job and get the job done. So I don't know if you could really consider him going into Minnesota being a benefit to Minnesota. Because do you honestly believe that Tom Homan is going to walk into Governor Walz's office and basically say, hey, guess what? We're going to pull out from here. No, he's going to walk into Tim Walz's office and say, you're going to do exactly what the president told you to do, or we're going to lower the hammer on your ass. So do you honestly believe that maybe sending of Tom Homan was actually a further iteration of the White House, which, by the way, this is what the White House says, a further iteration to the White House of the White House to the state of Minnesota? You better fix your crap. In my mind, that's exactly what he's going to do. And the White House actually has already kind of said this, because the White House made a statement that it says that Trump stands by strict immigration enforcement in Minnesota. They said this yesterday during a briefing that President Trump is not going to retreat from his demands for strict immigration enforcement in Minnesota. And he's basically doubling down, which he should be, doubling down on the state and city leaders to fully cooperate with federal authorities. So, yeah. I don't necessarily think, a lot of people think, oh, yeah, Tom Homan going there, that's like backing down from the president's on the president's side. No, I don't think so. I think that's a doubling down. I think that's a doubling down on the president, basically saying, all right, playtime's over. I'm sending in the bulldog, and he's going to take care of business. So, yeah. See, a lot of people are like, oh, no, this is because of Bovino and, Noam, and they're not doing well. No, I don't think so. I think Trump is just like, yeah, I've had enough. I'm going to send in the real big dog, and we're going to take care of it. Well, I got to be honest with you. I'm a little disappointed. I'm disappointed in Governor Greg Abbott. See, I don't get it. When you have somebody like Abbott, who was so strong on things like immigration and the border wall, and he fought over Biden with all of that, and he put up the razor wire, and he did all these different things to try and enforce the illegal immigration that was going on in Texas. And he comes out and basically, I won't call it a full undermining, but he weakened his stance. Apparently, Greg Abbott was, he was on the Mark Davis show. And he was asked what advice he would give Donald Trump to help restore public support for ICE. Now, Abbott, you must understand, Abbott himself has watched over the explosive growth of Islam in his state, the institution of a state Pakistan Day, and that kind of thing. Well, now he is calling for a shift in the approach that Trump is taking. And I'm a little concerned about this. His statement reads, in general, we need to have respect for law enforcement officers in the country. ICE, they are law enforcement officers. So they, being the White House, need to recalibrate on what needs to be done to make sure that respect is going to be reinstilled. That's not an easy task, especially under current circumstances. But I know they're working on a game plan to make sure that they're going to recalibrate, maybe work from a different direction to ensure that they get back to what they wanted to do to begin with, which is to remove people from the country who are here illegally, who were allowed in by Joe Biden, and especially those who pose the most danger. Now, I don't like it when people do this. They especially when they come out and they act like they're all big and badass, and then all of a sudden they turn weak. That's what Abbott is doing here, is he's turning weak. And I have no idea why. But this doesn't make sense. The simple answer to all of this is the Ronald Reagan answer. That pretty much you guys, meaning the left, the leftist lunatics, the useful idiots, you have all gotten together, and everything and all of this started when you guys decided that the laws of this country were going to be picked and chosen to who and which ones you're going to follow. See, that's the true answer to all of this. We either have a nation of laws, we have a nation of law and order, or we don't. There's none of this, we can do some but not others kind of thing. No. What we need is a Ronald Reagan, who basically says that you people who chose and told people that they could choose which laws that they are allowed to follow and which ones they're not. But that's not what some of these people are doing. And I guarantee you that none of the Republicans who are in the rhinos or whatever, I guarantee you all of them, they're going to do the exact same thing. They're going to sit there and say, well, Donald Trump, yeah, he went a little heavy-handed. No. Right now, what you should be saying is, well, if they had enforced federal law, we wouldn't be in this situation. All right. That is it for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, before you take off, make sure you hit those thumbs up, thumbs downs, or thumbs sideways across all of my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night for Whiskey Wednesday right here on American Perspective, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.